Hello, welcome back to our research methods for economists. I am Balai Zaude. I hold MSc in economics, accounting and finance, and also currently pursuing an MSc in financial engineering from World Economic University, as well as Master of Project Management in progress from Florida South East University. I have taught at National College, Queen's College, and also Rift Valley Universities. Professionally, I have worked at the National Bank of Ethiopia in different departments and working now as a researcher with this blend of academic knowledge and practical experience. I'm excited to teach you through effective research methods tailored specifically for economists. Let me start from definition of research. A word research is composed of two parts, that is re and the search. Dictionary defines the former as prefix meaning again or new over again, and as the latter as verb meaning to examine closely and carefully, that is search, to test or try or to probe or examining. Together, they form a noun describing carefully systematic patient studies and investigation in some field of knowledge undertaken to establish facts or principles, according to this guy. It refers to search for knowledge. It can also be defined as scientific and systematic search for pretend information on a specific topic or specific areas. In fact, research is an art of scientific investigation. It should be scientific ways. According to Berners, a research is a systematic investigation to find answer to the problem. First, we have to identify the problem. Research is undertaken if there is a problem. Then, after identifying our problem, we go for searching analogy around that areas or expanding of our knowledges. Then we find answer to that problem through systematic ways. As to advanced learners, Dictionary of the Current English, research is a careful investigation or inquiry, especially through search for new facts in any branch of knowledge. It is for new facts. We are searching for new facts or new knowledges. Some people consider research as a movement from the known to unknown. Research is sometimes called as or the movement of from unknown to the unknown areas. First, we explain what we know before, little knowledge we have, and then we search for unknown things or to expand our little knowledge. That is why we say that is from known to unknown. Through searching, we can get unknown knowledge or we can expand our very narrow knowledges to very wide knowledges. That is why it is called as such. It is actually a voyage of discovery or journey of discovery. We are going for discovering a new knowledge. It is an original contribution to the existing stock of knowledge, making for its advancement. There is a analogy or stock of knowledge, even though it is few, then we add that knowledge on existed stock of knowledge. We search for new things or for new knowledge, and then we add over the existing one, the known one. Unknown one is discovered and added on known one. That's why we call that this stock of knowledge. It is the pursuit or search of truth. We are searching for truth, the reality of things, the reality of the problem through research with the help of study, observation, comparison, and through experiments. We are searching for true, searching for true events, searching for the cause of problem, exactly the cause of problem. The term research refers to systematic method consisting of explaining the problem, formulating hypotheses, collecting the facts or data, analyzing the facts and reaching certain conclusion, either in the form of solution towards the concerned problem or problem we identified before, or in certain generalization for some theoretical formulation. The conclusion of research may be gives the solution for concerned problem or specific problem. If not, it is used for generalization of some theoretical formulation. We can formulate a theory. For example, there is a theory of demand and supply. Those are formulated through research, theoretical formulation. If there is a specific problem, we give solution for that problem. If that is not, we contribute or for generalization for some theoretical formulation, or we formulate a theory. In short, the search for knowledge through objective and systematic method of finding solution to problem is research. What is not a research then? A research is not merely or only information gathering. As we know, research is not simply collecting of information from person or gathering information from resources such as books or simply magazines or newspaper, and is not considered as research as doesn't contribute to the new knowledge because it is things that already written on our book. Anyone can read that book, or asking of historians, for example, if you write history, for example, from your grandfather or grandmothers, you write history and put into books, that is not now, it is not research, but simply it is history. You write the history of the world, for example, 7 continents history. If you read and write separately about different continents, for example, African history, European history, American history, and the like, it is not a research, rather it is history, history of the continents, because not add any knowledge and hide knowledge. It is not hidden knowledge. It could be written in somewhere book, but it is not new knowledge or not add anything. Rather, it is information. That is why it is not research. Collecting of information is. The transportation of facts cannot be considered as research. Transportation of a fact cannot be considered as research. Merely transporting facts from one resource to another doesn't constitute a research. For example, if you transport factors from one person or from one resource to another resource, we cannot say that is a research. It is simply transforming of one information from one resource to another resource. Formally, it is not hidden one. It is not unknown before. No contribution to new knowledge, although this may make existing knowledge more accessible. It make accessible, but it is not add a new knowledge. If we knew what we were doing, it would not be a research, Albert Einstein. If we know what we do, it is not research, because we know before. A research should be unknown knowledge. Now we come to characteristics of the research or behavior of the research. Good research must qualify or meet the following characteristics. We say good research if the following character is fulfilled. 1. It must as far as possible be controlled. We have to control it. Rigorous, systematic, valid, and verifiable, reliable, empirical, and it is critical. This is characteristic of our research. Let me see each of it. Controlled. In real life, there are many factors that affect an outcome. A particular event is seldom or frequently the result of one or one-to-one relationship. Some relationships are more complex than others. Most outcomes are sequential to the interplay of the multiplicity of relationships and the interacting factors. In a study of cause and effect relationship, it is important to be able to link the effect with the cause and vice versa. We have to link the effect with cause of it. For example, the effect of TikTok on a student's performance or the effect of cell phone on student performance. We have to relate this or link this one. The study of causation, the establishment of the linkage is essential. However, in practice, particularly in the social science, it is extremely difficult and often impossible to make link. The concept of control implies that in exploring causalities in relation to two variables, you set up your study in a way that minimize the effect of other factors affecting a relationships. We have to minimize a factor that affecting our relationship. The other is rigorous. You must be reliable in ensuring that the procedure followed to find certification are relevant, appropriate, and justifiable. Otherwise, it is not good research. Systematic. This implies that the procedure adopted to undertake an investigation follows certain logical sequence. We have to follow a procedure. It should be a systematic way. Otherwise, it is not regarded as a research. For example, if you want to ask ages of the woman, ages of the female, you cannot get directly the ages of that woman. But through research, you can get exactly their ages through systematic ways. You can ask, for example, for how much you were in education, or you can ask for how much you are on the current jobs after your education. Then you can calculate the age of them logically, because such things should be researched through systematic ways. Or if you wanted to ask or understand the wages of an individual or wages of men especially, you can ask systematically his wages. For example, you can ask how many per or how many dollar you use for your education or for your expenditure, how many dollar you save, how many dollars you use for other things. Then you add all of this and know his salary. By using of this different technique, you can get the facts or knowledge over the areas. This is what we are calling as systematic ways or in procedural ways. Research should be in systematic ways. The different steps cannot be taken in haphazard ways, or simply in ordinary ways, or in carelessness ways. Some procedure must follow others. And the steps or procedure in general are understanding the nature of the problem to be studied and identifying the related area of knowledge. First of all, you have to identify the problem. First, you have to have the problem. Otherwise, if there is no problem, you cannot or no need to conduct research. Then, reviewing literature to understand how others have approached or deal with the problem. You have to review literature regarding with that problem. This is help an individual or researcher to know how others have approached or worked before or dealing with that problem before. This is to be a systematic, to be scientific ways. Otherwise, if you go through your own, it is not approved by scholars. That's why literature is needed for any research. Collecting data in organized and controlled manner so as to arrive at valid decisions. We have to collect data in organized ways in the controlling manners. The data should be real, otherwise the value is not real if that is not valid. Analyzing data appropriate to the problem. After you collecting the data, you have to analyze that data, drawing conclusion and making generalization at the end. After collecting the data, analyzing the data appropriately, and identifying the problem, you will conclude and make generalization about that problem. Valid and verifiable. The other character. This concept implies that whatever you conclude on the basis of your finding is correct and can be verified by you and the other person. It should be identified by you and the other person. It should be the same way with another researcher. By validity, we mean that the researcher must obtain the reality of response of those people who are under the test through comparing the response with such truths that indeed is truth. This is validity. Validity refers to the accuracy of assessment, whether or not it measures what is supposed to measure. It should be accurate, that is validity. The transportation of facts cannot be considered as research. Transportation of a fact cannot be considered as research. Merely transporting facts from one resource to another doesn't constitute a research. For example, if you transport factors from one person or from one resource to another resource, we cannot say that is a research. It is simply transforming of one information from one resource to another resource. Formally, it is not hidden one. It is not unknown before. No contribution to new knowledge, although this may make existing knowledge more accessible. It make accessible, but it is not add a new knowledge. If we knew what we were doing, it would not be a research, Albert Einstein. If we know what we do, it is not research, because we know before. A research internal validity. The instruments or procedure used in the research measured what they were supposed to measure. This is internal validity. In research, internal validity is the extent to which you are able to say that no other variable except the one you are studying caused the results. It is only this variable that causes the results. This is internal validity. There is no another thing. That means there is no outside thing that affects the cause of or the result of this except what I have used. For example, if we are stating the variable of pay and the result of hard work, we want to be able to say that no other reason, no personality, no motivation, no competition cause the hard working. Rather, it is a pay. We want to say that pay and the pay alone makes people work harder. There is no another factor, another variable that leads an individual to work hard except pay. This is internal validity views. Let me start from definition of research. A word research is composed of two parts, that is a re and a search. Dictionary defines the former as prefix meaning again or new over again, and the latter as verb meaning to examine closely and carefully, that is search, to test or try or to probe or examining. Together they form a noun describing carefully systematic patient studies and investigation in some field of knowledge undertaken to establish facts or principles, according to this guy. It refers to search for knowledge. It can also be defined as scientific and systematic search for. When we conduct experiment, our goal is to demonstrate cause and effect relationship between the independent and the dependent variable. We often try to do it in a way that enables us to make a statement about people at large. The study that readily allow its findings to generalize to the population at large has high external reliability. Suppose that if other person were to repeat a specific research study, you should be able to capture the same results. These are reliabilities. That's already reliable. That's why it's the same. For example, if some person add 2 plus 2, it is 4. And another person add 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. That is 4. Whatever the case, whatever method you use, the result is 4. This is reality of addition. That is why we said the same result. Reliability demonstrates that operation of this study such as the data collection procedure can be repeated with the same outcome. The objective is to ensure that if later researchers follow exactly the same procedure as described by earlier researcher and conducted the same case study all over again, the later researcher should arrive at the same conclusion. This is the logic of reliability. The transportation of facts cannot be considered as research. Transportation of a fact cannot be considered as research. Merely transporting facts from one resource to another doesn't constitute a research. For example, if you transport factors from one person or from one resource to another resource, we cannot say that is a research. It is simply transforming of one information from one resource to another resource. Formally, it is not hidden one. It is not unknown before. No contribution to new knowledge, although this may make existing knowledge more accessible. It make accessible, but it is not add a new knowledge. If we knew what we were doing, it would not be a research, Albert Einstein. If we know what we do, it is not research, because we know before. A research, a research should be unknown knowledge. Empirical. This means that any conclusion drawn are based upon hard evidence gathered from information collected from a real life experience or observation. It should be empirical. It should be based on facts, existing facts, or existing data, depending on the current practical application. We generalize or we come with the result of a research. The other is critical. Critical scrutiny of the procedure used and the methods employed is crucial to the research inquiry. It should be critical. The process of investigation must be foolproof and free from any drawback. It should be fully uh, foolproof and free from any drawback or problem. The process adopted and the procedure used must be able to withstanding critical scrutiny. So, for a process study to be collected called a research. So, for a process study to be called a research, it is imperative that it has the above characteristic. This is the character of a good research. Thank you very much. We'll come to the next.